at the beginning and end of the assembly. I like football games because playing in the stands is so much fun. Like, we really go off.
Your show this year is West Side Story. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to having like another show theme, I guess, if that makes sense. There's a plot, there's characters, and although our band isn't that big, although we're hoping to change that, it's like helpful to like, oh, I recognize this tune, and it's like, it's live, it's upbeat, and it's like the most challenging show that we've had the entire 4 years that I've been here.
Overall, I'm really looking forward to the music because in previous shows, I would say the music, is always fun, but I'd say this music is a bit more recognizable. Drill is going to be really fun. I know it's really difficult. It's going to be a challenge.
Seems to be some kind of jump by one of the fronts of either team.
Backs up their fourth down to...
We have false start on the Chaparral Firebirds, and in a fourth down situation with the game somewhat on the line. You can't give Hamilton the ball with a lead with this little amount of time left. They're going to bleed their clock out. In a fourth and reasonable situation, you absolutely cannot stand to take a penalty there if you're Chaparral.
You can see
Hamilton only rushes 3, decides to play as many defenders as possible.
See if he gets the first down. He does.
Jack Miller threads the needle. Finds a receiver just past the first down. Going to be a completion of about 13. Leaves about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. 1st and 10 and 41 for Chaparral. Chaparral looking to really manage the game from here on out. They don't want to give Hamilton the ball where they can run the clock out. They don't want to give Hamilton any opportunities. They want, from here on out, they want to be in control. You see, they're going to try and run clock out. We see Jack Miller there scramble to stay alive. Takes a great loss. Derek Porter, again, having an incredible night. About an 8-yard loss there. Stops the clock at 3:35.
Man, Derek Porter is on fire right now.
Absolutely.
Giving the QB all types of pressure.
Derek Porter made himself very well known for the Chaparral O-line today. I'm sure has been causing issues, as well as the entire defensive front for Hamilton. Just an incredible front with a outstanding linebacker group behind them, and Ryan Guerrero and Sam Hodge, these players that, returning seniors that are just incredible talents and such a crucial part of the defense. You love to see that they're working in harmony, having your defensive front really get a good push and put pressure on the quarterback, making the linebacker's job easier, and vice versa. Just the defensive front from Hamilton just having their way with Chaparral currently. And the time for Chaparral where you can't, this is the one time in the game you cannot stand to let someone. Clock's dwindling down. About 3 minutes, 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Man, it seems like they have to basically go the whole field to get a first down here.
Yeah, they're going to have to make it to the 30-yard line of Hamilton's side of the field in order to score.
That's over 1/4 of the field there that they have to go. 32 yards. Seems like it's going to take a miracle here.
Do have 2 downs to do it. May try to, cut down the amount there. A little unsuccessful. The screen pass looked promising, only granted Chaparral about a yard or 2. Hit pretty hard. Penalty thrown on the play. Also, another key part of that linebacker group, Nathan Zimmerman, a great and physical aspect of that linebacker group, along with Ryan Guerrero, who's also very, very physical.
They seem to try to recuperate here, see what Chaparral's going to do if they're on their 4th and 32 here.
Penalty on that previous play is going to be declined. Chaparral will have a 4th and 20 from the 40-yard line, their own 40-yard line. Seems to be the climax of the game. This play really makes or breaks the game for Chaparral. Crowd of both teams really getting into it, showing their support for their team. This play, it would take a miracle to convert this play, a 4th and 32, but It's possible. It's
Yep,
just
it's
possible.
Anything can happen. You got 2
As
minutes.
especially in the world of high school football and the randomosity of it. Whereas you go to NFL, the chances of converting a 4th and 32, especially late in the game of NFL, are next to none. Even at the college level, while much more, able for that to happen, you really don't see that because you're at such a professional level. Whereas at high school, it's such a diverse level of players. Crazy big plays happen all the time. So it's definitely plausible for Chaparral to convert here. Doesn't necessarily guarantee them a win after that. They still have about 30 yards to go in order to score. Although at this point, they've taken themselves so far out of range for a field goal. They started we're at the 40 4 plays ago and now brought them back to the other 40. Loss about
Seems like they've been
20
taking
yards.
A couple steps back here.
Yeah, this is a no steps forward, several steps back here situation for Chaparral. Really digging themselves, throwing hold line in for a bit, shooting themselves to the foot, if you may. Really going to need, this is where Chaparral's offensive line, they have to give Jack Miller time here. He needs receivers to get 32 yards down the field and get open. And the defensive front's been just having their way with Chaparral's O-line. They seem to do a great job there.
Hail Mary pass.
Pass caught by receiver number 13 for Chaparral.
Anything's possible.
A miracle play. Offensive line got a great stand on that. The Hamilton defensive front, which had been kind of having their way with Chaparral. Chaparral had a great offensive line stand there, giving Jack Miller, time in the pocket. And if you give an Ohio State commit time in the pocket, it's not going to end well for you. So completes the pass there just at the required yardage needed for a first down. Keeps the drive alive for Chaparral and the chance to take a late lead change here and win the game.
2 minutes and 24 seconds left and counting.
Hamilton does have all 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning if Chaparral were to score here.
Yep.
They'd have, seems like more than enough time to try and throw together a drive to kind of recoup.
Let's see what Chaparral's next move here is going to be. They got 2 minutes and 17 seconds left to make anything happen.
Early in the season, we may be seeing the early effects of Coach Sadebski's takeover. We're seeing Chaparral in the huddle there. All their linemen were hands on hips, breathing very heavily, whereas Hamilton's defensive linemen and others looked very comfortable back there.
Yeah.
And they were ready to play, whereas Chaparral seemed like they were a bit out of breath there. Perhaps Coach Sadebski's takeover of the weight room and conditioning program has really had a positive, had a very positive impact so far, it seems. Had to check in later in the season and see if that continues against some of these other bigger programs, such as Perry, Basha, Chandler.
Yep. Only time can tell. See what they can do. Yeah, in shotgun, obviously. That's all he's been doing all game. Taps the hip of the center, see what's going to happen. Most likely a draw or some play.
Gonna be zone defense here for Hamilton. Throws into double coverage, stopped for a gain of about 2 or 3 yards. That's about it.
4th down.
Not the plays that you needed at all in this situation for Chaparral. While they are very beneficial in running the clock down and giving Hamilton, not very much time to work with if they do score, you still have to score. You can't run down the clock and then it doesn't do anything. So they're doing a great job of managing the game and the clock right now. But if you can't put the ball in the end zone, that's all for nothing.
As you can see, the fans in the stands are helping making a stand here, getting everybody hyped up.
About a minute 30 left in the game. Clock is running currently. Just under a minute 30. Referee is going to stop the clock in a minute 27. Chaparral expenses their last time out of the game. This truly is the make or break play for Chaparral. Either they convert this here and have to have a really well-oiled machine to be able to, manage the game at this point with no timeouts left. Any play brought down, within the boundaries of the game, and they keep that clock running, it's going to be very hard for Chaparral to get a new play called in, especially now in the red zone, farther away from their sidelines.
Yep.
So they're going to have to not only have that added, bit of struggle to deal with, now they have the time constraints too, and then the pressure, and I'm sure the nerves of these players are just going wild about now. Each team wants to win this so bad, with the opportunity to take a late, for Jack Miller and his squad, take a late second, last second win here would be huge for them, especially on the road to start out the season.
But it's going to be very tough for this freaking Chaparral offense, because their defense for Hamilton has just been pounding them in the face lately. And they've just been giving up one big break, but since that, they've been making them pay. And this is going to be the deciding factor if Chaparral...
Going to bring out the field goal unit, actually. They looked like they were going to go for it originally,
Let's see.
looking to tie the game up. That Hamilton defensive front makes up a lot of that special teams front. So hopefully the way they've been manhandling the line today,
Very
they
true.
could easily block this punt or block its kick as they have already once in the game. Kick is through the uprights and good by receiver and kicker, number 81 for Chaparral. Hamilton will have 1 minute and 21 seconds to drive down the field and score in some way, tied perfectly at 30 to win the game.
Now, what do you think the strategy here is for the Hamilton coaching staff here with 1 minute and 20 seconds left? Do you think they'll be content with going into overtime, or do you think they'll be aggressive and try to score here?
Well, traditionally, in a sense like this where you're put in a situation whether you want to play for overtime or play to win, traditionally the home team plays for overtime because they have the home field advantage, and the away team plays to win because if they go to another quarter, they're going to have to deal with that home field advantage of the other team more. So you'd expect the home team to play it safe here, but what we've seen out of Coach Sadebski so far, he's a risk taker. So I feel like he is not content going here to overtime.
Yep.
I feel like he's going to try with everything he can, safely and reasonably, without putting the ball back in the hands of Chaparral to try and score here before the game and this first game with a win for Hamilton.
Yep, I feel like Zadepsi will go ahead and risk it all here, and I feel like this will be one of those times instead of where it not paying out how it first intended to be in the very first quarter and second quarter, that it might pay off here in this ending game here, be a deciding factor if they go home with a win or if they go home with a loss.
Absolutely. Another key factor of that is Brandon Shanks, because Brandon Shanks has not been the smartest with the ball today, making some iffy judgment calls.
That could be some foreshadowing there, yeah.
But he absolutely needs to keep the ball safe and in Hamilton-only hands for this last drive. A turnover could be detrimental, especially early in the drive. Could be a very easy for them, leaving them plenty of time early. And that is not what you want to see on the kickoff that could decide the game.
That bobbling little hand that he dropped.
That's going to give Hamilton horrible field positioning, starting about the 10-yard line. Have to travel nearly the entire length of the field, try and score, or at least could travel most of the way and get a field goal. I feel like at this point, with this kind of field positioning, they're not trying to score. I think they're going to try and go for a field goal here.
Yep, they're going to go ahead and try to march
Especially
themselves down the field.
With the incredible leg you have of Daniel Obarski, it's going to be anything within the 30 or so should be a given for him. So we hope to see about, they're going to try and take it as far as they can.
Yeah, we'll
Obviously,
see
if a score opportunity opens. Brendan Shanks scrambling with the ball, not what you want in a 2-minute drill situation. You'd much rather see your quarterback throw the ball, even if you have some open field in front of you. You'd much rather see your quarterback throw that ball away and save that little clock you have left, rather than Shanks dancing around the pocket, shaved off another couple seconds there, leaving only 53 seconds and counting
Tries to
down.
dance around in the pocket again, not being successful. Stuffed by number 7 of Chaparral.
Seems at this point Hamilton's not really urgent to do anything. I think they're content with going to overtime, which is surprising considering what we've seen out of Coach Zadebski earlier in the game. Seemed to be more of a risk-taking coach, but with the home field advantage, it might not be a bad idea to go to overtime. and take your chances again there.
Yep.
Especially with the great turnout we had for today's game. Ball was severely underthrown to Brendan Rice into triple coverage. One of those judgment calls we talked about earlier by Shanks that is very scary to watch as a fan of the game. Heave that ball up there for that long like he did again.
Very agreeable there. That's just one of those judgment calls that Brandon Shanks hasn't been too very bright up at. Been just throwing it up there and just hoping somebody prays and grabs it. I have a couple screaming fans out there just giving their peace of mind to Brandon Shanks, which isn't too good right now.
Yeah, you hate to see the parents and the alumni of the school coming back that are dogging on these high school players, but Daniel Barsky punts there. Back to Chaparral. Chaparral will take over with 12 seconds left in the game.
See if they can do anything here with the last 12 seconds or if they're just trying to go into overtime.
I think with the arm of Jack Miller, might expect a Hail Mary of sorts, just testing his luck.
I agree.
Other than that, I don't expect him to try and force anything.
I could see some foreshadowing going on, scrambling out of the pocket and throwing it deep down the sidelines to a receiver there, having some successful all day with that. See if he could pull that trick out of his hat one more time.
I think the key for the Hamilton defense here, they have to contain. You see these, especially these Hail Mary plays in the NFL, I see a lot of them by Aaron Rodgers, his ability to dance around the pocket and give himself time for his receivers to get down there, and the amount of air he puts under the ball to really give his receivers time. Especially with the way the Hamilton's defensive front has been playing this game, you have to contain. You can't let him roll out and be comfortable where he's throwing.
Oh, this is something we haven't seen. He's gone under center for he goes
Just
ahead and takes the knee there.
Not going to risk anything, play it safe, take a knee, and take it to overtime.
Everybody will be given some extra football tonight, taking it into overtime.
We're going to come back to the marching band story from earlier. Got cut off by play while we wait for brief intermission.
Yes, the music's going to get better, Joe's going to get better, and then hopefully we're just going to be able to go to state this year. Coming to Hamilton, I wasn't certain I wanted to do band, and I heard about marching band. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe I'll do that. You meet a lot of new people, you make a lot of new friends, people who have similar interests to you if you're, interested in music.
Band is amazing. It is so underrepresented. We need people to realize that band is difficult. Yes, there's no lie about it, and I know that people kind of think that, oh, it's band, no big deal. We're just standing there, we're playing, they're just in the background, but it's so much more, and it's just so incredibly fun, and the people that you meet, and it's a second family because you guys are there 6 days out of the week. It's so enjoyable, and I don't think anything else compares to it.
The marching band's first competition is September 29th. Be sure to get out to Desert Vista High School to support them. See, there appears to be team meetings by both teams, not being able to go into the locker room after the game. They're going to use the little break they have to have their own locker room meeting right there on the field. Going out for the coin toss, determine the order of possession for overtime. For Hamilton out there, we see quarterback Brandon Shanks. Seems to be the team captain. We also see Javin Wright, Daniel Barsky, and fan favorite Sean Daly, number 75, O-lineman for Hamilton. For those of you who might have tuned in a little bit late, currently the score is 30-30, tied at the end of regulation. Overtime kickoff, just about to start. So Hamilton will be receiving the ball to start. Just to brief you on the overtime rules for AIA football here in the state of Arizona. Each team will get a possession from their own 15-yard line. I believe they changed that this year. Hamilton has one possession starting from the 10-yard line to march 10 yards and score. Great way to start off there for Hamilton. Taking that handoff to Mo Parson. Cuts about 8 yards of the 10 needed out. Be about 2nd and 3 for Hamilton from the 3-yard line. Shanks with the handoff. And he's wrapped up for a loss by Chaparral's defense. Again to Mo Parson. Couldn't seem to replicate the success of the first run. About a loss of 4 for Hamilton there. It'll be 3rd and goal from the 6-yard line. Chaparral showing pressure. Shanks rolls right. Looks to dump short. Tried to get almost a flip throw there. He was rolling hard to his right, trying to toss it just a few yards to his receiver in the end zone ahead of him. Pass is broken up the goal line. Will be 4th down and goal from the 6-yard line. Hamilton will line up to kick. Should be no problem for Obarski. Kick is good. Hamilton takes the lead, 33-30. Chaparral will have one possession. They must score at least a field goal to stay in the game. A touchdown for Chaparral wins the game. Field goal ties it, sends it into double overtime, where each team will have another possession. Chaparral will also start from the 10-yard line. If they score here, they will win the game without giving Hamilton a chance to come back. Game will be over if they score. Field goal ties the game, sends it to double overtime, where overtime will be replicated with 2 more possessions by both teams. Jack Miller with the pass over the middle, just through the outreached hands of receiver number 81 for Chaparral. Broken up by linebacker Dustin Smith for Hamilton, another returning senior. Flag on the play. Looks to be against Chaparral. It's going to move them back. It's a great thing for Hamilton here in a short, 10-yardage situation. There's nothing that could play better for Hamilton, having them detriment themselves and having penalties go.
There's
and
really
as Chaparral, you absolutely, in overtime in such a short possession like this, you cannot stand to have penalties.
There's really no give that you can take here. You have to be really feisty with every yard that you take. And it seems here that it's been playing out for Hamilton.
Bryce Danielson all the way out in the track.
Ball has been
Ball
dropped.
dropped. Pass by Jack Miller to the back right corner of the end zone.
Yep.
A little too far.
Now, if you're Hamilton here, is there any question that you want to make some substitutions to your defense, or can you trust them enough to make a call here?
The way Hamilton's defense has been playing this entire game, especially the second half, the momentum they had going, I really expect them to stick with their core group of guys they had to start the game with.
Yeah. This play seems like it's going to be a make or break here.
Absolutely. 3rd down and 10 from the 10-yard line. Everyone here in the stadium on their feet. Bryce Danielson, running back for Hamilton, seen all the way at the edge of the track, trying to pump up the crowds to give his team an edge.
And there's a
It's going to be a timeout by Chaparral.
Now, if you're Hamilton on the sidelines, what are you telling your kids right now if you're a coaching staff?
Everything has to be kept in front of you. You have to secure the goal line. You cannot let receivers get past you on the goal line. You have to stay, if they run, because obviously they're going to try and score here. So there's going to be multiple receivers trying to get into the end zone to get open. As for Hamilton, you need to be physical at the line of scrimmage, and you need to set up a border at the goal line, and do not let them waltz in there and get open. You have to make them fight and earn that if they're going to do that.
Now, if you're on the defensive line and you can tell that they're going to do a hard count, what are you telling your boys down there in the trenches?
It's hard because it's overtime is such a crucial play and you want that jump. But if I'm a coach right now, I'm saying set a little more weight in your back feet and not your front hand. A lot of these linemen get, front hand heavy have most of their weight on their front hand so they can launch off the line and really explode off on the count. The problem with that is, with the snap judgment of a quick, hard count, so hard to combat. If all that weight's on your hand, you're going to be ready to jump. Yep. And you don't necessarily want that. You'd rather have a controlled rush than a crazy rush here.
Yep.
Hamilton's going to blitz. 1-on-1 coverage on the side. Pass will be complete in the back right corner of the end zone.
And that will be the conclusion of the game. Chaparral will win it.
Chaparral with the walk-off in sense of football. Ending the game with an overtime touchdown.
You can see the
to win the game over Hamilton. 36-33. Do not believe they'll kick the PAT.
No, that's just a heartbreaker for their Hamilton team.
That really, especially after so many returning seniors coming back, and you have, such a incredible game of both ups and downs. You hate to see Hamilton, who fought so hard and really, in the second half, really looked like they had control of the game. You hate to see them have that stripped from them at the last second.
Yeah, that's just one of those heartbreakers that you're just going to have to swallow your pride and wish the team best to them.
So, for you, what are your first impressions of Coach Sadebski and brand new head coaching staff of Chaparral. You know, two brand new coaching staffs really came out, and they both played phenomenally. For two, you know, brand new staffs head to toe, they really showed what they were made of today. They really, you know, neither team was pushed over by any means. A back and forth competition the whole way through, literally until the very last seconds.
Man, both of these teams seem to be playing smash mouth football. None of them are, like you said, willing to roll over for each other. And it seems to me that they're both come to play football. And sadly, the turnout came in Chaparral's favor and not for the home team of Hamilton.
Yeah, you know, both teams look to have a promising season ahead of them. Hopefully Hamilton can turn this around and use as a learning experience for next week at Highland.
Hopefully they can make their comeback against Highland next week.
That's going to do it for us here in the booth. Final score 36-33. Chaparral with the overtime touchdown catch to win the game. And we thank you all for tuning in.